Hello everyone, we're going to be covering the Profundity fleet. And last one I did was on the Home 1 fleet. So if you have the Home 1 fleet, chances are you'll be working towards Profundity fleet. So this seemed like a logical next step for the next video. And we're going to build this fleet with the assumption that you already have a Home 1 fleet, which I have, and I'm sure most everyone that has a Profundity fleet has a Home 1 fleet too. So, as you can kind of see, you want to kind of split these up into two fleets. Basically, your U-Wings and two X-Wings and Eagle Claw will be going with Home 1 fleet, like was shown in the last video. And then your 4 cargo ship and your crewless Y-Wing will be going with the Profundity fleet. And we will be getting into that real quick here as to why. Just a refresher, the Eagle Claw specifies non-scoundrel rebel ships to go with it. That's why you have to put those 4 with the Eagle Claw. But let's look up here in Profundity, and we will be showing you why you want to have the rebel cargo ships, since CG has kind of made it very obvious to split these two up this way. The good thing about the Profundity, the capital ship does gain 10 speed for each dark side enemy ship, so you do better against dark side fleets. That has been kind of skewed a little bit because current 2 dark side meta ships has advantages against the Profundity at the moment. I'm sure that CG is probably planning releasing like Red 5 and kind of evening it back out, but we'll see here in the future. Ally rebel cargo ships. Right here is your first cop for cargo ships. Gain 4 stacks of reinforced hull. Ally crewless rebel tank, which is a direct call out to the Y-Wing. Taunts for 1 turn. And then you gain the following things at the start of the battle. Cargo ships are immune to critical hits. Crewless tanks are immune to critical hits also. They gain 35% defense and max health. Taunt for 1 turn whenever a rebel ally is inflicted with a debuff. And are immune to buff immunity while taunting. Support cargo ships deal bonus true damage equal to 8% of their max health when they deal physical or special damage. So it's kind of boosting up the cargo ship's damage output. If you do have shield disruption on them, you will always score critical hits. That's an important thing to know. Shield disruption is the Y-Wing can give that debuff out. And then moving on with this kit here. Whenever rebel allies score the critical hit, there's a 20% chance to call another random ally to assist, which is another important thing. Whenever rebel ally assists, download is increased by 1%. So then in order to get the download to increase faster, you want to get as many assists as possible. Obviously some of that's RNG based, but the more assists you can get, the faster you can get to the download. Whenever a rebel ally evades an attack or resists a debuff, they recover 20% health and protection. And when the enemy units defeated, rebel allies recover 20% health protection. Now when the enemy does summon an ally, rebel allies gain protection up 100% for 2 turns. And whenever enemy reinforces, Rebel allies gain 150% defense for 1 turn. I'm sure that's to help keep the rebel ships from being one shot from a reinforcement that's coming in. If the enemy TIE advance 1 is deployed at the start of battle, increase the cooldown to call reinforcement for the enemy capital ship by 1. Which nobody really ever sees because they usually run bounty hunters with the executor, so you don't typically see that TIE on the front lines. If Profundity uses call reinforcement on consecutive turns, dispel all buffs on all enemies and dispel all debuffs on all allies. Allies and enemies are immune to turn meter manipulation. Reinforcement bonus, critical chance up for 2 turns. Okay, now that we've read the big part here and that you see some certain things in the kit so far, I just want to point out what we should be looking for. So this fleet runs off of critical hits, target lock, and calls to assist. And obviously there's some direct synergy call out to the Rebel Y-Wing and to the cargo ships that have the Rebel tag. So we'll finish looking over the Profundity kit real fast because that has the most impact on the fleet, and then we'll jump over the Outrider since that is one of the main ships that recently got added for this fleet. If you use the basic during the Profundity's turn, deal physical damage to target enemy and grant target ally a bonus turn. If it's a rebel, they gain 50% offense, increase download by 10%, can't ignore taunt, inflict buff immunity on their target for 1 turn. On their next turn, if the enemy already had buff immunity, stun them for 2 turns. So this is the basic's actually really good. You increase the download by 10%, which is very important. And the other thing is you're calling another ship, one of your ships, to attack. If Profundity was called to assist out of turn, deal physical damage and inflict daze instead. So you don't, when it's called out of turn, unfortunately you don't get the 10% download bonus. And then unconventional maneuver, increase download by 10%. Dispel all debuffs from target ally and they assist twice. So you're getting 2 assists in this one. At the end of the turn, target enemy is inflicted with debuffs depending on how many times they have received damage. You can look here. There's they'll at least get critical chance down. And there's breach, burning, ability block, and you do have a chance of getting shield disruption through this here. I think I might have seen it happen like once or maybe twice. It's definitely hard to get 9 hits with this. I'm sure I get close a lot of times, but you gotta get 5. You have to get 9 plus attacks in to see shield disruption, and sometimes the RNG doesn't really give you that many, but it's still an option of how to get shield disruption out there. This one, the special here, you dispel advantage, stealth, and tenacity from the enemy. If they lose those buffs, then they get debuffs. It's kind of basically the opposite. They'll gain vulnerable if they had advantage. They'll gain marked if they had stealth. They'll gain tenacity down if they had tenacity up. Rebel allies with full health gain critical damage up for 2 turns. Otherwise, they recover 25% health. And then your attackers gain offense up. healers and supports get stealth, and then your tanks taunt, get 4 stacks of reinforced hull. And then Admiral, we have the plan. It's kind of like your ultimate. You only use this once. You remove the enemy capital ship. You dispel all the buffs from the enemy ships. They're inflicted with speed down and the stranded debuff. Your Profundity gets the plan's acquired special ability. And the rebel allies gain damage immunity for 1 turn, recover 100% health protection. Obviously, you have to have 100% download to be able to use this. Stranded, they take damage equal to 35% of the max health at the start of its turn. So, it's kind of like once you get the enemy side to this point, you pretty much have won. Against the Executor and the Leviathan, that is currently the difficult part, is getting it to the spot where you can remove their capital ship. Plans acquired, all allies gain advantage, critical damage up, defense penetration often up for 2 turns. Basically ramps up your damage output. So that's a detailed overview of that. So let's look at the ships here real quick. You'll see Rebel cargo ship, Scoundrel, Rebel Scoundrel cargo ship. This is the crewless Y-wing for Rebels. Rebel cargo ship is Phantom 2, and the Ghost is also a Rebel cargo ship. So just give you a quick overview of how you want to start your lineup, because of what the Outrider, the Y-wing, and the Millennium Falcon bring to the table. You want to use those 3 as your starting 3 ships. The Ghost and the Phantom 2 work better as reinforcements. If you want to mix it up, obviously you could. I recommend the Outrider and Millennium Falcon and the Y-wing at your starting lineup, and I believe that's the strongest lineup. Reason why you want your Y-wing is because that's going to be the tank. It's going to absorb all the damage, and it can absorb a lot of damage. You want the Outrider on the front lines, because when he's on the front lines, all the ships are recovering protection and health like crazy. You can keep everyone alive really easy. Millennium Falcon has a lot of tools to assist the Outrider in doing that, not to mention it has a self-heal, so it does really good. The Ghost and the Phantom 2 are good. I need to get mine up a little bit more at the moment. I feel like they're squishier than the Millennium Falcon is, to be honest. But that's just how I feel. I feel like they make the better reinforcements out of the 5. And then for the last 2, I recommend I threw in a couple cargo ships to so it can kind of synergize somewhat with the rest of the team. I mean, obviously they're not rebels, so they're not really synergizing fully, but I have the Razor Crest over here. Obviously, if you have the Executor, a lot of people will suggest putting the Razor Crest with the Executor, but I don't have the Executor at the moment, so Razor Crest here is a good choice. And then I feel like the Ebon Hawk is a good backup choice for this fleet. It's a cargo ship. So let's go back over here to the Outrider, and we're going to look through the Rebel ones here really quick. With the Outrider, you get this heal here. Emergency repairs, you recover 20% health protection, you get speed up, tenacity up. Download progress is increased by 20%. Now, the download progress on the Outrider is different than the Profundity. It's two separate things. So the download progress starts at 0, is increased by 1% whenever a rebel ally scores a critical hit. Doubled if it's their turn. You require 100% download progress to activate this ability. Let's go over here. Outrider gains. This is the buff that you need 100% for. Critical intel. You gain 60% critical chance and data transmission. Data transmission, you use it one time, requires 100% download. Dispel all debuffs on rebel ally ships to recover 50% health protection, and then allies gain the supercomputer buff for the rest of the counter, which gives them 100% critical chance and additional bonus based on the ship's roll. The critical chance is really good. Obviously, it heals everyone. That's really good too. Gain 100% critical chance will help you with the other parts of the kits. Attacker, they dispel stealth and taunt from enemies, inflict defense down. Tank, when they have their turn, everyone recovers 10% health protection whenever this ship receives damage. Okay, so that's whenever it receives damage. Makes the whole team harder to take down. Support, at the start of the turn, inflict target lock on random enemy for 2 turns, remove 20% turn meter. So that will help you get target lock out, keep everyone healthy, and at the same time give you critical chance. So very important buff. This here attacks 5 times. Dispel all buffs. You inflict target lock, so you can get the target lock out two different ways in his kit. You reduce their defense for each instance of damage, and rebel allies gain 5% turn meter for each instance for each critical hit. Potentially, you can gain 25% turn meter. Deal physical damage 3 times to target enemy, inflicts critical damage down for 2 turns. If target lock, reduce cooldown of concealed concussion missiles by 1, which packs a pretty good punch. His basic has a good punch too. So you can see there's some target lock synergy there. Millennium Falcon, even though this is an older ship, it's definitely still has a lot of uses. This spells all debuffs from itself, recovers 50% health and protection, and you can gain the outmaneuver buff. Plus you get a bunch of turn meter, 35% for each active rebel ally and Empire enemy. So he can basically give himself another turn. Outmaneuvers 25% evasion. Can't be countered, targeted if he has other allies. Deal physical damage to all enemies. Everyone gets defense penetration up, and you deal 25% more damage for each dark side and each Empire enemy. AoE can do more damage. It's a pretty good attack. The basic is really good. You inflict damage, you call another ally to assist, and you inflict target lock on a critical hit. And then on top of that, you can, if will dispel the buffs on the target enemy. It's a really good basic. All allies gain 10% critical chance, which is 20 since everyone's rebel. Has 50% chance to assist. When you get reinforcements, Falcon grants them accuracy up, and they also gain critical damage up. And when one of your ships get 3 or more debuffs, the Falcon will dispel all debuffs on them. Very good kit. Has a lot of stuff there that synergizes with the other ones. And let's look at the crewless tank here real quick. Basically, you do damage and you gain taunt till the start of its next turn, which is very important. At taunt, it helps keep the rest of the ships alive. This is attack. You dispel the buffs on target enemy and inflict shield disruption for 2 turns. Y-Wing gains taunt for 2 turns, so this is great. You know, it's a good special ability. Rebel allies recover 20% protection whenever a rebel ally critically hits an enemy. This is one of the critical reasons why you want to be getting critical hits, and not to mention to other synergies that we've covered in the other parts of the kits. If the allied capital ship is rebel, Y-Wing has plus 30% potency and 35% chance to assist other rebel allies when they attack out of turn. Potency is going to help you land that shield disruption. Okay, and then for your reinforcement, you'll see that the synergy still continues to follow. See basic here. Well, actually, this is not basic. This is a special attack. Sights lock, inflict target lock on target enemy for 2 turns, and also 70% chance to put it on another enemy. And if they're Empire, you inflict speed down. So that one there, you can get up to 2 target locks. And this here is also good. You deal physical damage and have 70% chance to grant all allies critical chance up. Be better if it's 100%, but 70% still pretty high. Basic, it doesn't really do much damage and possibly stealth the ship. Phantom 2 gains evasion up for each rebel ally. Anytime the ghost receives a debuff for its critical hit, Phantom 2 gains foresight and taunt until the next time it evades. So you can kind of have like a backup tank kind of thing, but it only really protects the ghost. While the ghost is present, Phantom 2 gains critical hit immunity. And then if Phantom 2 has no protection, it has 60% chance each to gain advantage, defense up, foresight, offense up, and speed up for 2 turns at the end of its turn. So it kind of buffs itself. And also the ghost has this ability too if they're both out. When you do reinforce with him, you gain stealth, advantage, offense up for 2 turns. And you reduce the call down to the call reinforcement of the allied capital ship by 1. So ideally, it's better to call out Phantom 2 first and then the Ghost. Ghost has a lot of good stuff. Ghost and target ally, they gain stealth, but then you call the target ally and 2 rebel allies to assist, dealing 40% less damage. So it's kind of like a mass call to assist attack, which helps us synergize with your Profundity, helps get that download progress up faster. This is the AoE, deal physical damage to all enemies, 40% bonus damage for each rebel ally. So the more allies you have, the more damage you're going to deal. And if they have target lock, you inflict ability block. Kind of keeps them from being able to do much. The basic, you deal damage. If the ghost is stealth, you're guaranteed a critical hit. About the only reason why you'd want to try to get the ghost stealth. All enemies have negative 25% potency. Whenever enemy debuff is resisted by an ally, ghost inflicts speed down on that enemy for 2 turns. Additionally, if the Phantom 2 is present, you cannot be target locked. And if the Phantom 2, if it gets defeated, the ghost gains protection up 50% and 100% defense. So it gets a little bit stronger if you do lose a Phantom 2. This here, take him down, it basically just throws out a bunch of debuffs on the enemy. Inflict defense down to all enemies for 2 turns. Expose target enemy for 2 turns. And you gain 30% turn meter for each debuffed enemy. So you could basically take another turn after this. When you enter the battle, inflict critical chance down on all enemies, and inflict target lock on enemies who suffer from ghost critical chance down. So, in theory, you could get all the enemies target locked by just bringing the ghost into battle, in theory. So I was trying to keep that video shorter. I see we're getting close to 30 minutes already. But trying to give you guys a thorough understanding of the kits, the synergy. As you can see, there's a lot of target lock, critical chance, and assist synergy in this fleet. So you definitely want to try to use those mechanics. And we could make a super long video and really break it all down and show everything. But to be honest, the best way to learn is just to get in there and start using your Profundity fleet. And just remembering to keep things. If you have to, you can always hold, press attack or special, and you can see the information as it pops up. So hopefully this helps you. The other 2 ships you can look over. They don't have full synergy, so I don't feel like it's really warrant going over them. They do help some, and they'll definitely be a decent backup if you do start losing lots of ships. But hopefully CG will come out with some more rebel ships. With these 2 fleets, obviously 4 more rebel ships would be nice. Definitely would be nice if they'd come out with the Red 5, and I'm sure they could come up with a couple more rebel cargo ships that's been used in the movies in various instances. Or maybe even, some more, a second Y-Wing maybe that's actually piloted by an actual pilot. Lots of different ideas I'm sure CG can get creative with. Not to mention there's rebel ships that they haven't even added or attempted to add that would be really cool to see here. So hopefully in the future we'll get to see some more rebel ships that will beef up the Profundity and the Home 1. I think Profundity buff is coming in the near future because it's kind of been pushed down by the Leviathan and Executor, and and CG has commented that they're trying to keep him on the same power level. So I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing a buff coming out for Profundity, but it will probably be in the form of a ship, kind of like they did with the Executor fleet with the Punishing One ship. So hopefully that helps everyone. Try to give you some good pointers there and show you the synergy in the kits and the starting lineup. If you guys have any personal requests, I'll be happy to hear them and to make some videos for you. Please like and subscribe and share. Trying to reach 1,000 subscribers for the channel. And hope everyone has a good day. This is the way.